Hey everyone, Tom Caffarella here from Ocean City Development. Today we are going to be talking about a subject that I am uniquely qualified to talk about, which is how to fix and flip houses without actually flipping them. And so how do you get into the real estate investing game, into the fix and flip game without actually doing the work? Okay? And so I am uniquely qualified to talk about this because before I started in the real estate industry, I had absolutely no expertise in fixing and flipping homes or managing construction crews. And so why would you want to do this? Why would you want to fix and flip a house without actually doing the renovation? Okay, and the answer is pretty simple. There's usually two main reasons why you would want to even entertain this. Reason number one is that you don't have the funding to do a deal like this. So you don't have the money to put down to pay for a property cash, or you can't get bank financing, or whatever the case is. That's usually one reason why you would not want to fix and flip the property. The other reason is, just like me, you may not have ever actually renovated a home before. You may not know the steps to managing contractors or to managing a big project. And so I'm going to now jump into my presentation, jump into my slides, and review everything for today. So let me just jump right into this. All right, so now you can see my screen, and we're going to go from here. So my story, just to give you guys just a real quick heads up. So like I mentioned, I'm uniquely qualified to talk on this subject because I've never picked up a hammer in my life, quite literally. So I am a CPA, I'm an accountant, and the most I can do on any one given project is literally screwing a light bulb. So for me, managing a renovation in the beginning when I got involved with real estate investing was not even an option. Seriously. Okay, so here are your options if you want to get into the fixing and flipping business without actually renovating a property. The number one way to do this, and the way that I did it, and the way that I built up my business that now does more than 100 fix and flips per year in the Boston market, is that I actually partnered with rehabbers. And so, like I mentioned, I did not have the contracting skills myself, so I partnered with people who did. And I currently have two partners in my business, and both of them, their full-time job is managing construction crews. And so the pros of teaming up with somebody who does have the expertise on how to renovate a property is that you don't have to do the work yourself. You can do what you do best, which could be the sales and marketing like me, and your partners could take care of the management of the construction. And so the major benefit of doing this is that you're going to maximize your profits, okay? So by rehabbing the property, you are going to make the biggest margins. So that would be the reason number one why you would want to partner with rehabbers. The other key benefit is just a segmentation of labor, okay? So every major corporation that ever existed has specialists that do very specific things really well within the business. And so if you are the jack of all trades in your business, it's likely that you are not really great at any one of those particular roles. So in my business, as an example, my fixing and flipping business, I manage the sales and the marketing, and that's it. So I don't manage the legal, I don't manage the accounting, I don't manage our office or our employees in the office, I don't manage the construction, and so segmentation of labor is huge. So that one of the negatives though, so the biggest negative on partnering with rehabbers is that anytime that you partner with anybody, there can always be complications. And so before you enter into any sort of partnership, you really want to make sure that you lay out exactly what the groundwork is, who is responsible for what, so that there can be no possible misunderstanding. So anytime that you partner with anybody, there is that risk. The second way that you can fix and flip a home and get into the real estate investing business without actually managing the project would be through the process of wholesaling a deal. And so wholesaling a deal is when you actually sell a contract to another investor who then closes on the property. And so the way that wholesaling works in a nutshell is that you go out and you meet with the seller one-on-one, and let's say that you put their property under contract to purchase at $200,000. What you're then going to do is you're going to take that contract to another investor and mark up that contract, let's say for $210,000. And so on a deal like that, if you wholesaled that contract, you would end up making $10,000. And so the pros of doing this is that you have zero cash outlay on your own. So when you wholesale a contract, you are quite literally assigning a contract to somebody else who is then paying you to step into your position. So there's no cash outlay needed on a wholesale deal. The second benefit is that you don't need to do the work yourself. Okay? And again, the whole premise of this video is how do you get these deals done without you actually managing the project? So wholesaling accomplishes that very easily. The third benefit is that there's no market risk. Okay, so anytime that you actually close on a property in your name, you are taking some market exposure risk, meaning that if the market goes down, your profits will go down, and if it goes down far enough, you could potentially lose your capital. When you wholesale a deal, you are never actually taking title to the property yourself, so you in effect take no market risk. The fourth benefit of wholesaling a deal is that you can do an unlimited amount of wholesale transactions. So when you are actually taking title to the property and managing the construction yourself, you are going to need to hire people to manage the construction, and you're also going to need to have money to fund the deal. And so management of crews and hiring people is a finite resource, and also capital is a finite resource. So when you're wholesaling, you can literally just keep doing deal after deal after deal because you're never taking up any of your own capital and you're never taking up any of your own labor force. The negatives to wholesaling. So what, wholesaling, by the last slide sounds like it would be much better than fixing and flipping. I mean, why wouldn't anybody just wholesale every single deal that they got versus fixing and flipping? And the answer to that is the profit margins on a wholesale almost always end up being less than on a fix and flip. And so there's no real standard of what you can make on a wholesale deal, and there's no real standard on what you can make on a fix and flip. The deeper discounted you get the fix and flip or the wholesale, the more money you're going to make. But typically speaking, on average, you're going to make anywhere from 25 to 30% of the total of what a fix and flip is. So for example, if you were going to make $100,000 on a fix and flip, then you may make $25,000 to $30,000 on a wholesale deal. And I'm just using the 100,000 as a round number, but again, you can do the math on any size deal that you want. The other negative of a wholesale deal is that you are relying on a third party. So you don't have total control over whether or not that person is going to end up closing on the deal. And the issue with that is that in some cases, an investor has the ability to use that leverage against you to knock down what your wholesale fee is. And so my first deal, that actually happened to me. And so my first deal was in the greater Boston area. I had a great deal on a 2-family in the greater Boston area, and I had it for a large margin. And so I turned around and I assigned that contract to another investor. Long story short, that investor then found out what I had the deal under contract for and came back to me at the very last minute to negotiate down my fee. And so that can happen if you don't have a really good cash buyer list, and if you don't have people that you do business with on a regular basis. So there's always the potential with that on a wholesale deal. The third option for fixing and flipping without managing the renovation would be to do a light renovation. And so in many cases, depending upon the market, and the market that we're in as of today is a very hot one with limited inventory and tons of buyers. And in this environment, when the market has very little properties for sale and very high demand from buyers, you can in many cases do a very light renovation. So meaning that you don't have to manage an entire project, but you can kind of just do a paint and carpet job, do very minimal amount of work to the property. And in a lot of cases in this type of market, you can actually get very close to the same price doing a light renovation than you would if you did a full renovation. And again, this is going to be market by market specific, so you have to be careful in what market you do that in. And so the benefits of doing a light renovation are that it doesn't require as much contracting expertise as doing a full renovation. And so this is something that if you are newer to investing in real estate, it is something that would be reasonable for you to take on for your first project. The other major benefit of doing a light renovation is that it takes up less time. So depending upon how much work you're putting into a property, a more major renovation will typically take anywhere from four months all the way up to a year. Whereas doing a light renovation, you should be in and out of the property, in and out of the renovation, I should say, within 30 days. And so the negatives of doing a light renovation is that in general, it depends on what market you're in. But in general, if you do not fully renovate the property, you are more likely to have inspection-related issues and buyer backouts, okay? So there's going to be more problems that come up, and you're going to get more buyers that may become scared of issues that arise during a home inspection. The other negative is that some of the houses that you run into as a real estate investor are not going to be able to qualify for a light renovation. So you'll kind of know it when you see it, but there are properties where you can't just do a paint and carpet job. So if your primary business is to do very light renovations, you are going to take a certain percentage of houses completely off of your radar. And the last possibility, if you want to fix and flip homes but do no repairs, is simply to buy them, close on them, and resell them. And so there are some major benefits on buying, closing, and reselling and doing literally no work at all. One of the pros is obviously that you don't do any work. You are not managing contractors. You're not spending any time on the property. You don't have to worry about rehabbing the property, okay? The other benefit of you closing on the property yourself with your own money rather than wholesaling it is that you don't have to worry about cash buyers messing around with you on a wholesale deal. Remember, like I said, on the two-family in the greater Boston area where I had a ton of margin. Going back in hindsight being 2020, I would have been better off just closing on that deal and reselling it instead of wholesaling it, because once you own it, you become in a much better negotiating position. Because keep in mind, I had a promise to close on that property myself so that I could then wholesale the deal. So if I had backed out of the deal, I may have lost it altogether when I was wholesaling it, versus if you close on the property, you don't have that risk of losing the deal whatsoever. So given that you have more negotiating room, why wouldn't you just close on every property and then try to just resell it? Well, the number one reason is the cash outlay. So you are going to actually have to put your own money out of pocket in order to do this. The second thing is the market risk. Now, granted, if you are buying a property, closing on it, and reselling it immediately, you are not going to be in the market for very long. So your market risk is reduced, but you still do have market risk. And so the other issue with this is that you really have to make sure that you get a great deal up front. Because if you don't get a great deal up front, your margins could be very, very slim or nothing at all. So you need to make sure that you got it for enough of a discount that another investor would be willing to, another investor or a traditional buyer, if the property's in good shape, would be able to come in, do very limited work, and buy the property at a profit. And so here's the bottom line, guys. You absolutely do not have to know anything about construction to get into this business. To be a real estate investor, that expertise is helpful, but it is far from being required. The reality is, being a real estate investor, the most important skills are marketing and sales. So real estate investing is a sales and marketing business first and foremost. And that is absolutely what you want to get great at as a real estate investor. And so to download additional slides that go along with this presentation, go to www.getfreeslides.com. That's www.getfreeslides.com. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more real estate secrets, tips and tricks on making money as a real estate investor. Thank you for checking this out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.